Visit licensureexams.com and try our samples completely free of charge.
Greetings, you studious therapist out there. Welcome to another episode of our Licensure Exams podcast. I'm Dr. Linton Hutchinson, and this is my co-host, Stacy Frost.
Hi, everyone. Well, we are going to kick off today's episode by talking about a therapy skill called summarization. Now, don't be fooled by its seemingly simple nature. There's a lot more to summarization than meets the eye. Linton, care to enlighten us further?
Sure. Summarization is a process of condensing and crystallizing the key aspects of what a client has shared with you. It's like making a concentrated essence of wisdom.
I like
A summarization serves several important purposes. One, it provides structure to a conversation and helps maintain focus in sessions, keeping your client away from those tempting, unending rabbit holes.
Those
and
are
two,
fun.
yeah, they are fun. Right. And two, it helps you and the client identify specific topics or themes that you need to explore with them later on or in further detail. And it provides the client with an opportunity to clarify any misunderstandings that you may have. Not that you would ever have any misunderstandings there, Stacy.
Nope.
Especially when the client has shared a lot of information.
Well, Linton, speaking of a topic that I think maybe we should explore a little bit more and see if we can clarify some potential misunderstandings.
What's that, Stacy?
Well, if you might recall going a trip down memory lane here to our episode on self-disclosure.
Right.
You mentioned something, and this is how I remember it, something about a dog being eaten by an alligator. It was a really yippy, really obnoxious, dog that just wouldn't be quiet. And that maybe you weren't so unhappy about the dog being eaten. Does that ring a bell?
Well, it sort of does, but I think the way I remember it is that you weren't unhappy that the dog was gone.
Oh, I wasn't unhappy that the dog was gone.
At least you admit it, yes.
Well, we will have to go back and re-listen to our self-disclosure episode. But I'm glad we took the time here to try to summarize what happened in a previous session. And, take a minute to go back and maybe clarify some stuff. So,
okay. And what did we clarify?
We're still clarifying.
Okay. Gosh, I wish it was be that easy in life that you could actually go back and have a redo.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. Like Blockbuster, be kind, rewind.
Yeah, I was not happy that the dog was eaten. I was just happy that I didn't have all that noise around all the time. Does that help clarify things?
Yes, you've done it and put a nice bow on top. Thank you very much, Linton. Okay, so at what points in the therapy process would summarization be most helpful?
Let's see. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is right there at the very beginning of your session. You could start by summarizing the topics that you discussed during the last session that you had with your client.
All right. Well, that makes logical sense. So especially if it's been, like a week or more since you last saw your client, a brief recap of what you talked about last time is kind of going to act like a compass guiding you toward your next steps with them in today's session.
Right. And it'll also help you remember which client you're dealing with.
Exactly. Yeah. I know people have some pretty big caseloads these days.
Yeah.
You could also use it at the end of a session to review what was talked about and process any new information that appeared out of the mist during the session.
Yeah, right. And another time summarization would be really helpful is when your client has shared just a mountainful of information and you want to suss out what's most relevant in the therapy process. That way you don't go down all those rabbit holes. So let's say your client spent 15 minutes talking about the events that led up to them scheduling an appointment to see you. You might summarize what they told you by saying something like, so let me just make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Your main concerns are that you're feeling stressed, that you're having trouble focusing at work, and your relationship with your family members is, well, to say the least, complicated. Did I get that right?
That is a great way to make sure that both you and your client are on the same page. And I can also see how this would help you identify clinical treatment goals. Like in the example that you just gave, Linton, maybe your goals would be reduce anxiety, increase focus and concentration, and improve relational functioning.
Yeah. And
Any,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Yeah. And speaking of treatment plans, summarizations can come to the rescue when you need to assess your client's progress,
Mm-hmm.
So you might take a moment to reflect on the client's emotional growth and resilience, changes in their behaviors or thinking patterns, or the impressive new coping skills that they've learned from you.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, now it's time for us to summarize what we've talked about today. Linton, could you give us the key takeaways that our exam enthusiasts can refer back to when they're studying?
I can't remember. Help me out.
All right. So, summarizations in a therapeutic context involve the therapist doing what, Linton?
Okay. You're distilling and referring back the main points of what they said to you, right?
There you go. Yeah.
And you typically use summarization when, Stacy?
At these strategic points in therapy, like, the beginning or the end of a session when the client has shared a lot of information, or what's that last one?
When you want to go ahead and review the progress, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So summarization helps keep the session on track and provides an opportunity for future exploration and clarification.
Brilliantly put. Well done. Well done. And let's not forget, summarizations also empower the client. Big, big thing in counseling, right? Empowering the
Right.
client.
Uh-huh.
The client is able to hear their thoughts and their feelings echoed back, which helps them feel heard and understood. It's a really subtle, kind of under the radar, but powerful tool in building that therapeutic rapport.
That's absolutely correct, Stacy. You got that 100%. And for all you budding therapists out there, practicing summarization skills is critical. You can do this with your partner. It's really important to do it whenever you can. It's not just for exams, but you need to know it for your future practices. The more you practice, the better you get at pinpointing those essential nuggets of information and reflecting them back in a way that benefits both you and your client. How have I done that with you today, Stacy?
Very well, Linton. I give you an A+.
Okay.
All right. So that's it for today, but stay tuned because we've got a lot more therapy skills to cover in future episodes. And until we meet again, remember, it's in there.
It's in there.